Hey everyone, how's it going? Another stream today. So today is what I like to call part 3 of the anniversary. It's not really a part 3 banner, so to speak, but I just like calling this part 3 just to make it a whole lot easier. I know it's probably not really part 3, but I'm just going to be calling that because, you know, it makes everything easier for me. So today we're going to be focusing on King Leodore. Now, if you don't know anything about him, he was a unit that was shown in the most recent story, so if you're not up to date on that, I don't spoil anything related to the story, but I always talk about the units, and sometimes they do spoil a bit about the main story when you talk about the units, which there's nothing I can do about that. So today we're going to be doing everything, like, as you'd expect, all of the normal things that we do. I'm going to be checking the news quickly first, and then we'll have a look at the unit and the arc and start talking about those. So I did manage to get him already just because I was doing a few singles earlier, managed to get him early, which was nice. But we will still be doing summons a bit later on to try and get the arc, because I think that's a decent arc, but we'll talk about that soon. Hey, so let's quickly go over the news first, because I do want to make sure everyone's aware of the current events that are going on right now. So technically, the first part of the anniversary, if you want to call it, has ended, and now they are starting a new promotion, but it is still part of the 5th anniversary promotions. I know it's a bit confusing, but I'm just calling it part 3 of the anniversary just because it makes it easier. So let's just go to the maintenance notices first, because I want to check everything that's here. I'm not going to be spending a lot of time on this, but just the same thing that I've been doing in the past couple of streams, checking this first, because still useful, I think. So you can get up to 55 free gacha spins, which is nice. Now, if you're just starting the game, now is the perfect time to re-roll, because we do get a bunch of, you know, free stuff in Anniversary, so if you're considering playing this game, or if you're just starting, then now is the perfect time to do so. Apparently they're doing a giveaway soon, but there's no information on that yet. Usually you don't get much from the giveaways. I've, like, never really gotten anything from a giveaway, so I'm not really too fussed about that, but someone's going to get lucky, it's not going to be me. And then obviously a DOH Festival unit, Leodore, another story unit I do like, but it is another UR arc, which, you know, we'll talk about that soon. Anniversary Festival, we can get 3,000 more free crystals from this, so make sure to do that. Remember to do that because, you know, free crystals are always great. They have been giving out a lot of free crystals and stuff in this anniversary, so always love that. A new event, now, I don't usually talk too much about the events, but this one does have at least some bit of story behind how Leodore got brainwashed, which you may be interested in, but it's kind of basic and kind of what I expected, which is just Leodore getting brainwashed by Melee, and since it's only part 1 of this event, there isn't that much story to it, and there never really is that much story, but it's still nice, because I do like seeing more story to the game, because I personally like the story, but if you don't care about the story, then you probably won't care about the event too much. Try turning up your volume. I think my volume's fine on my end, it seems fine. There is a new sticker. I tried to find that, but I couldn't find that sticker somewhere. This boss stage is coming back, and I just want to mention this a little bit. There is a very strong rope that is in this stage, so I do highly recommend to do this if you can. And there is a multiplayer stage, but the solo stage, if you're just starting, it's probably going to be way too difficult for you. But there is a very good rope that Freya really likes, the rope that you can get from this boss stage, so do make sure to do that if you can. Yeah, that dress, I think. Tower of Trials. Gotta love Tower of Trials, more crystals basically. Thanks for the sub, I like more subs, it's great. We've been doing pretty well recently. I don't know why. I guess people like these streams, which is always great. Unit test play quest, which we'll be doing a bit later on to try out Leodore. I do have a bit of, you know, concerns about him, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. Beast Mayhem, another event. This is just a returning event. Don't really talk about it, but this event I do like a bit more because some of those monster units are more, you know, meta, kind of, for guild battles, and if you care about, you know, building your count as much as possible and getting all of the God Relic Prism shards, then every unit you get to level 120, you get 3 God Relic Prism shards, and you may want to consider farming this event just so you can get every single monster unit to level 120, which I am now going to be doing that because I should have thought of doing that sooner, but definitely going to be farming that. I've been trying to farm a lot lately about leveling up my units and stuff, because I definitely need to keep on top of that. So this here, the Devil May Cry units are now getting 6th Enhance, Awakenings and stuff, so this is nice, but most of these units aren't really that meta anymore. Like, pretty much all those units are bad, but V is still a unit that is used today, so V is like the only unit that I would recommend getting to 6th Enhance, because if you do have him, he's great, and I still use him all the time because he's great for farming easy stages, like the best unit for farming stages that are easy, have easy enemies in, and also his elements are very useful, so I'd probably only recommend getting V to 6th Enhance, and the other units, just up to you. I mean, you could get Virgil to 6th Enhance if you like him, if you want to use him, but if you get Leodore, you may not need him. Yeah, Nero is a pretty fun unit, and he's not bad. You could get him 6th Enhance if you really want to, but I try and think about how good the unit is and where I would use them, and in that scenario I probably wouldn't get them 6th Enhance because I'd never really want to use them. But if you just want to have fun with the unit, then go ahead and do it if you like. Dante was never really a good unit, so I doubt anyone's going to get him to 6th Enhance, but if you like him, then sure, why not. They can work a bit better now, but they're not going to be, you know, they're still not going to be that great compared to the newer units. Yeah, I thought Dante was okay when he released, but his skills were just way too slow. And then revisions of certain units, these 3 units, V getting even more physical damage is pretty great, because that will just make it easier to build him for farming stages, so that's like the only thing that I'm excited about a little bit. Nero getting a damage boost can be pretty good, because I thought OG Nero was pretty fun unit and was quite strong when it released, so I do think OG Nero is probably a decent unit you could use if you want to. So they have also added some new Godforge equipment. I don't want to talk about all of them because most of these units are like whatever at this point. Like, nobody uses DD, nobody cares. Saintly Melee, I personally don't use her anymore because we got Arch being Melee, who is just 10 times better, so have no reason to use Saintly Melee anymore. Grafel, I don't really use her at all. I mean, if you like Grafel for whatever reason, or if you want to use her for her charisma, then sure, you can get these if you want, but I'm probably not going to. I haven't looked at Grafel's equipment, really, because I just never really use her. 40% damage, lot of damage cap, critical rate, continuous Grand Brave and Grand Aura, 20% MP, take less damage. You know, this cloth is pretty good. Ascended Zayax equipments are solid because he's still a good farming unit, so I may consider getting these because that's just going to make it easier for him to farm stages, but honestly, I haven't really felt a need to use Ascended Zayax for a while, even though he's a good farming unit. They are pretty solid though. And now, the main ones here, in my opinion, are definitely Prefect of God Mia's paid equipments. So, Prefect of God Mia is a amazing PvP focused unit. She is not very good in PvE, she kind of sucks in PvE, but for Arena, she's still very good, and in Guild Battle she can be solid too, but it's mostly Arena where she shines the most, because she can't flinch from magic, and that's what makes the unit so good, and she can do a lot of damage as well, and she's a God type, so I would definitely recommend getting these 2 paid equipments, Godforge, if you have them, or consider getting them from Credential, you know, the Crimson Ore trading space, maybe. It depends though. I do think here, out of both of these, her sword is definitely the best option, for sure. It's a very good sword. It gives continuous Grand Brave now, and also 40% light damage, so it's just making her even stronger for PvP, and her cloth now has take less counter damage, which is funny. They seem to be adding a lot of counter damage mitigation to paid equipments now, and that is a theme that they're probably doing for a while, it seems. And then that's pretty much it that I want to talk about for the news maintenance notice. I might as well just quickly check this and then we'll go over to the unit of the arc because that's more exciting, I think. So on April 11th, all of these are events that are still currently going on. They are adding more stuff to this, which they've already added today. Part 2, Part 1, Part 3, Part 4 and 5 is coming soon, which should be nice. So yeah, they're just free stuff. I don't really need to talk about that. Let's go over to the unit of the arc now, because I do like looking at this more. So, Emperor Leodore and Kairos Zobra UR-Arc. I did expect him to have a UR-Arc, because if you know, in this story, Kairos was like the big boss dude, and usually when you get a boss in the game that has like a second form or something, usually that second stronger form is the UR-Arc version, and that is a theme that has been going on for ages. Like if you remember Lily, Melee, Oxeus, like there's a bunch of units that have had a normal unit form and then a arc version of that form. It's just a thing that happens all the time, so it's expected. So Emperor Leodore, I think it looks very cool. He has a Rubik's Cube, which sadly his name is covering up for some reason, it's annoying. He has a Rubik's Cube as his weapon, which I think is pretty funny. And I do think it's a very cool design, in my opinion. He's quite cool in this story, gotta say. Pretty nice. So, one thing I'm a little bit worried about is he is a knight type, and usually knights are tanks, and he isn't a tank, so I don't know what the cats are doing, they're arguing or something. Very annoying. Here's a knight type, which makes me a little bit worried because I don't remember if we've had a knight type unit in the past that has been a good damage dealer, because most knight type units are tanks, so I'm really hoping he has good damage modifiers and doesn't turn out to be similar to Garland, who was a dual wield tank unit and had some damage, but his damage modifiers and everything were just terrible, so he couldn't really do any damage. I'm hoping that Emperor Leodore does have good damage modifiers, because if he does, I think he could be very good and has some good potential. But what? I don't want the cat to join in. Could you be quiet, Mr. Cat, outside my door? So his stats looking pretty nice. I think 10,000 HP at 2,000 strength, 1,793 defense is pretty solid, 1,500 mind. So I do think his stats look pretty good. His intelligence doesn't matter because he doesn't scale off of intelligence, he scales off of strength for all of his physical damage. I do think they look very nice. Attribute resistance minus 32 light is alright, but he might die easily from any light damage dealer, so probably melee and Prefect of Gonmia might destroy him, but we'll see. I would assume he'll probably get destroyed by Guile as well, for sure. I don't know how he's going to perform against the 2P, but we'll talk about that later probably. Ailment resistances look okay, I think. Nil to Illness and Nil to Curse look pretty good. And some stun resistance is nice, but he is weak to Blind. It's not a big deal, but something to be wary of, maybe. Depends on what content you're going into. So, let's go into the skills next, and then the traits will be a lot more interesting. So, his skills look very basic, but one very important thing is every single one of his skills are long range, non-attribute skills, and if you remember in the past, or if you're not, if you're completely new, I'm just going to say it, in the past, in Arena, the meta used to be long range non-attribute units used to be the meta in the past. Like if you remember, Demon Lord Rimuru used to be a meta unit when he released for Arena. He was amazing, and when Shift Lagrabos released, he was great because he was a long range non-attribute damage dealer for Arena, and he was pretty damn strong when he released. But now he's not used anymore. Nael, yes, Nael is still a very solid, not long range damage dealer, but she doesn't have non-attributes. She has all attributes, but still, long range damage dealers are still probably the best units for Arena. But the meta has kind of shifted a little bit because we've had counter units and units like Claude and Arch being melee and just more tanky units in general have kind of taken over the meta a little bit, but it is great that he has long range and attribute skills. Let's start with the skill 1. It's a medium area long range combo attack around the target. It doesn't look very fast. Honestly, I don't think his skills look very good because they are quite slow, but I don't know how that's going to play out in PvP because having fast skills doesn't always matter in PvP. Sometimes you want skills to last longer because if they persist and the unit gets flinched or something, then it makes it easier to, you know, take care of some units. Like, I'm thinking of Guile, because he does a very fast counterattack, right? But if you're using someone like Nael's skill 3, who lasts a bit longer, then Guile will counter, and he'll still be getting hit by Nael's skill 3, and he should get flinched and then start taking a bunch of damage if he runs out of, you know, his skill 1 stops. Leodore has 8 hits on his skill 1, which is alright, but I'm just not a huge fan of it because it's quite slow. I still think it's nice because they're all long range non-attribute skills, so all of them will be useful somewhat. Skill 2 is a wide area long range combo attack around the target, so sounds similar to his skill 1, but honestly, I do like his skill 2 a little bit more because he does have a little bit in his kit to help with his skill 2, just a tiny bit, but his skill 2 does look better than his skill 1, so I am more likely going to want to use skill 2 more than skill 1. Skill 2 is 12 hits. Again, it's not very fast, but I would much rather use his skill 2 over his skill 1. I just think his skill 2 is a lot better. And then his skill 3, Gravity's End, seems like it's probably going to be the best skill to use. Wide area combo attack around the target that pulls enemies in. We like seeing this. It sounds very similar to Nael's skill 3, I think, but I haven't really tested it yet. I haven't had any time to properly test him or anything, so I haven't really looked properly into his animations. I've just had a brief look to see how fast they are, and his skill 3 does seem like his fastest skill for sure, so if you care about DPS, then his skill 3 is the one you're going to want to spam, but he isn't really going to be a very good DPS unit, I think. His skill 3 has 18 hits, which it could have been better, but that's alright, I think. I do like that it pulls enemies in. We've really got to see how that plays out in Arena, because having a wide area attack that pulls enemies in is kind of what you want, because something like Black Hole, even though that's a magic, if you had something like that but a skill equivalent, that would have been, you know, incredibly strong, because then you could group everyone together and then you could snipe them with a different unit or a counter unit or something and just destroy everyone. It could be pretty good, but you have to see how that actually plays out in Arena. That's the main thing about this unit, is I'm hoping they're good in Arena. His special, it's just very simple. Powerful combo attack to all enemies. Don't really need to say much about that. It's got 55 hits and it's a non-attribute attack against all enemies, so I think it will be okay because it's against all enemies and it's non-attribute, so if it can hit solid damage then it might be good, but I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. Sure, if you've got your special active charged, then you might as well use it maybe to clear a bunch of enemies. Against waves it'll probably be more easy, it'll be better against waves or any stage that has a lot of enemies. But it's not going to be better than like nail special or anything like that. Still not great. So his traits is where it gets a lot more interesting, I think. Well, it always does for every unit, but he has a lot of very good things in his trait and what makes him stand out, I think. So let's have a look at his trait 1 first. So his trait 1, battle start, give physical damage taken plus 30% debuff to all enemies. This is already good by itself and allows him to be a support if you really want to. You can just put him in the team for your arena team or guild battle team, and then it's going to inflict a debuff to all the enemies, which is quite good. So you could make a burst physical DPS, fort, defense, right, on your round 3 or 4, and put him in, and then you put him in with a second physical damage dealer, and then that second physical damage dealer is going to be doing a lot more damage because of the debuff. I think it's pretty good, so I do like this debuff. Obviously, there's no way to reapply that debuff, so it would have been nicer if there was like a timer where it reapplied the debuff every 10 seconds or something, but I still think this debuff's pretty nice at the start of battle. It should last like 40 seconds or something, so gonna be very nice. It's even gonna be useful against bosses and stuff too, because if you're in a boss wave at the start of battle, the boss gets that debuff and then you can just smack the boss and should be good. When equipped with one weapon, then no attribute damage, 30% damage cap, 40,000. It's pretty nice, and the good thing about this is you can use any weapon you want. He isn't locked behind a specific weapon, you can use any weapon you want. So obviously you're probably going to think of a sword first of all, because we have a lot of sword options, but you could use anything, and I'm going to be looking at recommended equipment later on once we get to that. And this will apply to his special and his physical attacks, so this is great. His special is going to have even more damage cap and damage, and his physical damage too is very nice. Yeah, Mirror Master is definitely going to be probably one of the swords that you may want to consider using, because it's a very good sword. 25% physical damage and it's non-attribute, it's kind of perfect for him, but I want to have a look at other options later. When physically attacking, boost damage and damage cap based on the distance. I do like this. It's maximum damage 30% and damage cap 20,000. So you just want him to be as far back as possible, and here's a long range damage dealer, and I do like things like this because if you remember, Summer Sarah has a lot of damage locked behind, you know, being far away from the enemy. Can be pretty good. Yeah, I really need to do the slot machines, but it's not fun. You're just pressing a button and waiting for it to do something, and I still need to do the second slot machine area, but I just haven't felt like it for a long time, because it's just not fun, you know. So his trait 1 seems pretty solid. Honestly, it's focused on damage and damage cap, largely. That's pretty much everything on his trait 1, but I still think it's pretty good. Trait 2 doesn't really have anything for damage, but it has a lot of useful things on his trait 2, so let's have a look at that. Nullify criticals taken, so every single critical hit he nullifies, so he can't take critical damage. So that includes counters, magic, and physicals. He can't take crit damage from any of those attacks. So that's amazing. Means he won't be vulnerable to counters, critical hits on counters. That would be very nice. Yeah, you could do a bow build if you really want to. That would be interesting. I mean, you could do a lot of builds. There are a lot of build options with him. It's kind of similar to Claude, who also has, you know, he can equip any weapon you want. When far enough from enemy, here we go. Here's my favorite part of this trait. Physical and magic attack damage taken minus 35%, and you won't flinch from that attack. So here is something that could be potentially very strong. Not flinching from that attack. So if you're far enough away from the enemy that uses a magic attack, then you won't flinch from that attack. It just sounds very good. Like, if he can never flinch from magic as long as he's on the other end of the screen, then it's just kind of equivalent to Prefect of God Mia. And if Emperor Leodore can do a lot of damage, I think he's probably going to place very highly on the PvP tier list, because not flinching from magic is just incredibly strong, and we don't have many units that do that. And one unit that does do that is Prefect of God Mia. I doubt he has enough damage to compete against Prefect of God Mia, but we're just gonna have to see what happens, really. Just have to wait and test, but I do like this, and this also means he won't flinch from long-range physical attacks. But if he's getting smacked in the face really close, then this won't apply and it won't do anything. But I still think this is great, because it's basically all magic attacks. If you think of it like that, every single magic attack he won't flinch from as long as he's on the other end of the screen, which most scenarios he is going to be, because he doesn't want to move, he just wants to stand there, use his skills. That's his role, that's his job, doing a physical damage from long range. And a mage isn't going to be up in your face, they're going to be far back as well, so this just sounds very good. And won't faint from enemy attacks just helps. I have noticed sometimes getting fainted is annoying, and if you're up against a faint garland, it can just be frustrating. If you haven't built for faint resistance, that is. So this does help, but one thing I want to mention first that is a bit strange is the fact that he is a long-range damage dealer, right? And he is also a knight, and he has some damage mitigation, and it's just a bit of a weird combination, you know? Usually we have long-range physical damage dealers that are just all about damage and can't take any damage whatsoever, like Summer Sarah is just very squishy and just dies instantly. This is different from that, because it seems like he can also tank a bit better than those types of units. So, gonna have to see how that plays out. Yeah, his multipliers I really need to see, and I'm hoping that they are strong enough. If you stack a bunch of physical damage skills, I'm really hoping that he can be strong enough. But if he can't do enough damage to kill like a 2p or something like that, then I don't think it's going to be very good. But let's have a look at his skills next. So his traits are definitely very strong. He does have some very good things so far. He also has a charisma. All human type allies strength and defense plus 20%. Okay, that's nothing crazy though. And damage taken minus 15%. That's pretty solid, you know. Take 15% less damage from everything is pretty good. But this is if you don't already have a charisma in the team. If you don't have a charisma, then I do think this will be pretty good. For sure. But in Arena, you probably don't want to use the charisma, because you just want to use skills and kill everyone as fast as possible, so I still think it's a solid charisma. I do think it will be nice to use. Maybe in guild battles it could be useful too. On Arena, on your defense, you don't really want it on your defense, because they're probably going to just target him and kill him before he even lands a skill, so... But on your attack team, you may want to use it. I think it's nice. Attack at max, fighting spirit 4, and fighting spirit max. Pretty nice stats, I think. Resolve up 2 and resolve up max. I'm just worried that he's trying to be a tank too much. That's what I'm just a bit worried about. Critical up 3, very nice. Proud Force, him with Guile, yeah, sure, because all human type allies, that would be pretty nice. You know, I'm not gonna say anything related to guild battles, but you already know what I'm thinking. Proud Force, strength down, evasion, it's nice. Auto Gran Fort, okay, sure. He does have a lot of defense, so that will help. Pride 2, Ardor, very nice. No attribute attack raise, is nice to have. Attack raise 4. So he's got attack raise 1 and 4. You could put on attack raise 2 if you want to. That would be nice. Critical raise is nice too. He does have some good crit rate, it seems. I don't see any auto critical though. But he does have crit up 3 and ardor and critical raise, so that is pretty nice. Royal Feast. Battle End, fully restore all skills, SCT, and greatly recover HP. Basically the same as Pirate's Feast, just added bonus of restoring HP, so that is nice in just any wave battles. Goddess Kiss, you know, this is great. You know why? Is because he's non-attribute, and if he can do insane damage with his normal attacks, I think he's probably going to be one of the better SCT battery units if he can do a lot of damage with his normal attacks, because he has Goddess Kiss. You can put on a non-attribute weapon and just boost his normal attack damage by as much as possible, and it should be pretty good for being an SCT battery. I think that'll be fun. I don't know how good his normal attacks are, I haven't really looked at that yet. Long range attack breakthrough basically just gives more damage cap based on the distance. It doesn't really do much for him because he's a single wield unit, so 2000 damage cap, that's basically it. Magellan Shield, yeah, he's definitely not going to be taking that much damage from long range physical attacks. So I'm wondering if he can tank Summer Sarah. Yeah, he should have Magellan, he really should. I don't know why he doesn't. That's what makes me a little bit worried that they want him to be a tank. I don't want him to be a tank, I want him to be a damage dealer. I would rather have him be a damage dealer and squishy than be a tank and do a little bit of damage, you know. Piercing doesn't really help him too much because, again, he's single wield. Piercing is more useful on dual wield units because they have more hit counts, which means they can have, you know, more hits to proc this. But it's still nice to have, I guess, because I would never want to use this, because it's just too expensive. Favored Sword, more damage and damage cap, very nice, sure. Guard Breaker, when only one weapon is equipped, chance to nullify guard. This is very nice. Having a chance to nullify guard is very useful for PvP, and it does seem like he's going to be a pretty good PvP unit, I'm hoping. Armor HP plus, special boost 4, and we do have Magus Sharp Eyes. Basically, it's equivalent to Sharp Eyes, but an improved version of it. It gives you 50% damage and 5000 damage cap, but you have to use 3% of your max MP. I'm assuming you can probably stack this with normal Sharp Eyes if you want to, but I think in most scenarios, pretty much every scenario, having just this is fine. I do think that's nice. Cloak of Majesty, take less damage from non-boss enemies, does mean take 10% less damage from everything in PvP. Yes, this is probably a PvP unit, that's what it seems like at the moment. Cross Drive, damage 40% to physically attacking enemies. So basically, if you're getting hit from a physical attack, then you can do more damage to that enemy if you hit them at the same time. It's a bit weird, which probably most of the time isn't really going to happen. Now we get on to the more unique skills, which are always exciting. So, kneel before me. Battle start, restore 1 SCT stock for skill 2, that's very nice. And skill 2 damage, 30% damage cap, 15,000. This is what makes his skill 2 very good. I was talking about it a bit earlier. This is why his skill 2 is way better than his skill 1. You're much better off using his skill 2, so I think maybe you might want to consider using his skill 2 most out of all of his skills. His skill 2 and 3 are definitely the ones you're going to want to use, but this will add to his skill 2 quite a bit. The damage cap, yes, it's okay. It's nice to have more damage cap, but his skill 2 isn't very fast, so at the end of the day, the damage cap of it on his skill 2 doesn't really matter that much, because he's just not going to have good DPS, but the extra damage for his skill 2 I do think is very nice to have. When HP hits 0, auto revive and restore HP by 100% and 30% MP, once per wave. You know, this will be very good for PvP for sure, because you can stack this with decoy, and you can also stack it with other revive accessories, and it restores MP. Having a skill which restores MP, we don't get that much. We don't get that very often. So I do think this will be very nice, and basically what this does give you is a way to proc your sharp eyes. So maybe you could die and then revive with 30% MP, but also have normal sharp eyes, and have this sharp eyes plus normal sharp eyes have a lot of damage. I'm hoping that works, because that would be pretty nice, wouldn't it? Because he should do a lot of damage with 2 lots of sharp eyes, wouldn't it? I think if they both stack, then I think that could be pretty nice. Maybe. Continuous haste and high protection effect, that's great. One thing I do want to mention though is he doesn't have Brave, which is a problem, because if you don't have his paid equipment, then you don't have Brave, which kind of sucks. But at least he does have haste and high protection. Allows equipping of all weapon types. Makes sense. Equip weapon strength 50% and physical damage 20%. Yeah, he doesn't have any slayers, but at the end of the day it doesn't matter, as long as they do enough damage, because Summer Sarah doesn't have any slayers either. So, since he's got no slayers, yes, is a bit worrying, but if he has enough damage modifiers, it should be fine. We'll have to wait and see though. This is very nice, because you can equip any weapon, and this is even more physical damage, so he does have quite a few skills to help with physical damage, and this does give some strength too, so I'm hoping that he does have some good damage. We'll have to see. Damage taken from an attack with a anti-type, night type effect, minus 40%. Nullify defense debuffs from active skills. This is very nice. But it is just a tank focused skill, again, which I'm not a big fan of, considering he's going to be at the back, you know, so taking less physical damage doesn't really matter too much to him. So, I still think it's nice. And you know what? Now I'm thinking about it, this does help against Guile, so I'm really curious to know if he can deal with Guile and 2P. That is my biggest question. I have no idea how he's going to perform against Guile and 2P. If he can tank Guile and manage to kill him, I think that will be good enough. And if he can manage to kill 2P if he has enough damage, that will be good too. But we're going to have to wait and see, because I don't know. But yeah. He doesn't nullify Night Slayer, but he does take 40% less damage from it, so it's pretty nice. Now we get onto the 6th Enhanced skills, which are, again, they are the improved 6th Enhanced skills, so they do have, you know, more bonuses than the previous units with 6th Enhanced skills. So, more skill damage, great. 15% more skill damage, sure, this will help a little bit. For more skill damage, can't go wrong with that. Special boost, more damage and damage cap, very nice. More critical damage cap, doesn't really matter too much, honestly. Close mastery, close defense and mine 30% and take 10% less damage. So you definitely want to try and have a clove, where you want to try and have cloves equipped, even though it kind of doesn't really have any, you know. But you do really want cloves, ideally, to benefit from that. And armor HP plus. You could have an armor if you want to, though. You could make him a tank, but why would you do that? I don't know. You'd be crazy to do that. Boost damage cap based on distance. Maximum 6,000 because you're going to be single wield. Yeah, he looks weird. I mean, whatever. It's strange. Skill damage 20% to non-boss enemies. This will apply in PvP, so this is very nice for PvP. And it will stack with Dog Eat Dog as well. So, here's what I think at the moment. I do think all of his skills look very solid, but it's just a bit of a weird selection of skills, honestly, because he's a long range damage dealer, right? And they don't get hit very often. And he has a lot of tank focus skills. And he's a knight type. And all of those things don't really add together. Because usually if you've got a long range damage dealer, it doesn't matter if they tank damage because they're not going to be getting hit anyway, you know? So it is a bit of a weird one, but if he does manage to get hit from a physical attack, then he should be able to survive well enough, I'm hoping. So, I will say this, I do think his kit looks very strong, and he is more aimed towards PvP for sure. He won't be as good in PvE content just because his skills are very slow, but since he is non-attribute, you can still use him in PvE, and he will definitely carry you through the story for sure, especially if you're a new player. You can use him like anywhere that you want, and you should be able to perform pretty well with him. If you just make him a damage dealer, put on a bunch of physical damage skills, he should be doing pretty well, I think, in PvE. For arena and guild battles, I don't really know yet. We're going to have to wait and see until he's fully built. I would like to try him in arena, but I don't have him built yet, so we probably won't be able to do it today. I might mess around with a just base skills build, just no build at all, just only base skills and equipment, and see if he can actually do something. But I highly doubt it. I'm really hoping that he does have enough damage to perform well in PvP, but since he's a knight type and he's trying to be kind of like a tank, I don't really know how he's going to perform. But I'm really hoping he has enough damage. That's like the main concern I have with this unit, is he needs to be able to do enough damage. He needs to have enough damage modifiers on his skills to perform well. So let's hope that is the case, because if he doesn't have enough damage modifiers on his skills, then I don't know if he's going to even be a unit worth using. So that is the, you know, why I'm kind of in the middle about him. His kit is very strong, but it's different when it comes down to testing. So we'll come back to him a bit later on. For now, let's have a look at the arc next. I do think he does look like a very solid unit and very interesting. His kit has potential to be a very meta top tier unit, but it just depends on his damage modifiers. That's all it comes down to, I think. So, Kairos Zobra is the UR arc. I did expect this to be the UR arc because this was a boss in the most recent story, if you've done that. It was pretty cool. And this is kind of his, you know, I don't know what you would call this. It's like his ally or something, I don't really know, but this is his power or something. I don't know what you would want to call it. His guardian or whatever. So, let's look at the trait first. I do think this trait is kind of interesting. So, damage taken from human types minus 20%. First of all, that is already good, because you take 20% less damage, which is all damage from human type enemies. So that's very nice, and will help against, you know, Guile, for sure, a little bit. You could put this on Claude if you really want to, but again, it might not be the best option, it's definitely not. Skill damage 15% as well. 15% isn't a whole lot, but that does help because it's all the time. So I do think that's nice. But it does get better though. Boost skill damage and damage cap based on distance. Maximum of 20%. So here's where it gets a lot more interesting to me. So maximum, you get 15% skill damage, and you can also get another 20% physical damage. So now you've got a 35% physical damage, which sounds pretty good. Starting to sound very good, 35%, but it also gets better. Cut physical damage taken based on how low your special gauge is, a maximum of 20%, so minus 20% less damage taken. And boost physical damage based on how high the special gauge is, a maximum of 20%. So this is very good, but it's not a, you know, it's not the best PvP arc, because when I'm thinking of arena, for instance, you're going into the battle with 0 special gauge, right? So if you're going into the battle in arena, then what you're going to be getting from this arc trait is you're going to be taking 20% less damage from human types, and you're also going to be getting 35% physical damage, basically, and you're also going to take 20% less physical damage as well. As long as this is based on if you're a long-range damage dealer as well, because if you're a close-range damage dealer, then you're not going to get the benefit from this 20%, you know, based on the distance. So I do think this is okay. It's pretty good for damage mitigation for PvP, honestly, because you take 20% less damage from human types, and you also take 20% less physical damage as well. So I do think this is a pretty solid arc for PvP. The boost physical damage based on how high the gauge is doesn't really help in PvP because you don't have any, you know, special gauge in PvP. A better Great War of Ruin, I don't really want to say that. I would say probably not. The trait itself, I do think the trait's very good. Honestly, I would consider using this on a couple units for PvP, for like Claude. But would I use this over Blaze Garden is the question. I'm not sure, because comparing this to Blaze Garden, God War, they just sound very similar to me. I don't remember that one, but that's an SSR arc, so it's probably easy to beat that because this is UR arc. I do think it's nice. It's quite an interesting trait. If I were to use this over instead of Blaze Garden, I think it could be useful. You know, obviously this is best in slot arc trait for Leodore in a lot of scenarios, for sure. You could, here's the thing, you can even use this on like Summer Sarah to get 3000 damage cap. Think of that, right? This is a pretty nice trait. I actually like this trait. Let's do the arc skill next. So this is an interesting arc skill and I kind of like it, but not at the same time. So at level 10, it fills the unit's special gauge by 100%. So fully fills your special gauge and fully restores all of your SAT for your unit skills. So this is only to the equipping unit that has this arc equipped. So that is the difference here. It's only to one unit, and that one unit is the unit that has this arc equipped. For that reason, it's not as amazing as you would think, because I know filling a special gauge and restoring SCT is amazing, but there are other arcs that we have available, like the more recent one that I'm just going to check quickly. Not because I forgot the name or anything, definitely not. Soul Blade. Reason why I'm going to this is because this arc skill is for damage, you know, more damage cap. You're probably going to benefit a bit more from this, aren't you? In my opinion, I would probably rather use this arc because this has an arc skill that gives a hell of a lot of damage cap, and you take less damage from bosses, and you get damage as well, and the arc trait is amazing too. So I just think Soul Blade's very good. So I don't know if I would use Kairos over Soul Blade, but I do think this is still a very good arc, and if you have this instead of Soul Blade, yes, this would probably be your best option, because I still think it's a very good one. At level 1, that's interesting. I would like to get this arc, honestly, so we will be trying to pull this arc later, but I really doubt we're going to get it, we're probably not. But yeah, I do think this arc trait and the arc skill are the two main good things, the best things about this arc. The learnable skills, I don't really care too much about. Anti-type shield, sure, maybe you can use that on a couple units, but for 6SC, I don't know if I would use that. Circulation, I don't know if I would use that either, because when you use your special, I mean, it can synergize with this arc, I know that. And it can also synergize with like Great War of Ruin as well, because you can use your special, so it does synergize with this. No attribute attack raise 2 makes sense because Leodore doesn't have that, so he would like this, but I think, isn't non-attribute attack raise 2 on a arc already existing? I don't remember because I don't keep all that memory in my head because there's so many arcs in the game, but I was assuming that we already had this on an arc already. Collab arc, yeah, that kind of sucks. Sniper Buster, probably wouldn't really use that, honestly. So yeah, the learnable skills aren't really that great. I do think the best thing about this arc is the trait, and the arc skill for sure are very good. And those are the main things that I would want to use this arc for. The arcade rewards looks okay, I think. Non-attribute spear, damage to soldier and sorcerer type enemies plus 20%. That's just very specific. It could have been human type enemies and that would have been fine. But only soldier and sorcerer type for 20% isn't really worth it in my opinion. Because you're just much better off using Muramasa for 25% physical damage, you know. When physically attacking, enemy defense minus 10% and deal damage. You know what? Honestly, this spear is kind of underwhelming compared to the current equipments that we have already. But since it's a spear, it's not terrible for a spear. I just wouldn't use it very much, unless it was my only spear option or something. I don't think it's that great. It's definitely bad for a UR arc Ether reward, so yeah, I don't really care too much about that. I do think the trait and arc skill are the two main things about this. I do think it's a very solid arc, so in general, I do think it's a good banner to pull on. It's probably more worth pulling on Leodore than Ray, for sure, because Ray has an SSR arc. Pulling on a banner with a UR arc just, you know, gives you a chance to get something better. Because if you pull this Amaria Farm arc, you're just going to feel super bad about it, because I know it's a rate up new arc, but it's an SSR arc and you could get it anytime, so you don't really want to pull it. Let's have a look at the trading space next, because I do want to have a look at his paid equipments, because I haven't had a look at that yet. I do think they're interesting, and then we will do some summons soon. Even though I've already got the units, I do want to try and do some pulls for the arc, but I'm not going to be going super hard because I know it's a UR arc. You should never really try to chase for a UR arc, because the rate up for UR arcs are just so bad. Vent Trading Space has a prism, so I might as well get that now. We don't have any new gacha tickets, we've only got normal gacha tickets, so there's whatever. I might as well get them and use them just in case I can get the Amaria Farm arc, because I still don't have that. So he has 2 paid equipments, which is nice because, as you know, Kyle and Ray both had 1 paid equipment, which was 50 credentials. So this is a cloth. Seems pretty nice. So the trait, cut physical and counter damage taken based on distance. Okay, sure, that will help quite a bit. It's a maximum of minus 30%. This will definitely help against Guile, because Guile has a long range counter attack. So this will help quite a bit against Guiles. When skill attacking, boost damage cap based on the distance as well, and continuous Grand Brave effect. I do think this is pretty nice, but I don't think it's anything game breaking or anything like super amazing, because it doesn't give physical damage. I know it gives continuous Grand Brave effect, but you could just put on Fast Brave or something and be okay with that, and then use a cloth that gives physical damage, like the Godforge cloth that gives 15% skill damage. You may want to use that instead, so you don't really need to get this, if I say. I still think it's a good one though, but you don't really need it too much. The accessory, on the other hand, I do think this is probably the better option. Yeah, the Bravery Raiments, rather that thing. I don't like saying names because there's a lot of weird names in this game. That's why I avoid saying names. Critical rate 5%, no attribute attack damage 20%, and damage taken from non-boss enemies minus 10%. I think this accessory is probably the one you want to get, because 20% no attribute damage, amazing, because that is for all non-attribute damage, and it's an accessory, and you'll also take 10% less damage from basically everyone in PvP. So if I were to choose one, I would probably choose the accessory, and then have different clothes instead of this. That's probably what I would do if I were to choose one. But again, you don't really need any of these because I would recommend to wait for testing first, and that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to be getting any of these today. I'm going to be saving for the moment, and I'm going to be testing him with free-to-play equipments first, and if he turns out to be a very strong unit, then that is the point where I would consider getting one of these. But if he doesn't end up being super powerful or strong, then I probably won't get any of these, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess. So yeah, definitely recommend this accessory first. These clothes are still pretty good, but you don't need them as much. I mean, if you want him to be more of a tank, you could use this if you want. So yeah, that's what I think about paid equipments. I think they're very good, honestly. They are a bit better than average for paid equipments, so I am happy with them. I do think they're pretty solid. So, what I do want to do now is I do want to do some summons because I do want to try and get the arc, but I really don't think we're going to get it because this is UR arc. The chances of getting this incredibly small, as you know. But I'm going to be doing at least lap 1 and then a couple of free crystals just to try and get it, but I'm not going to go super hard, and then after that we can start having a look at Leodore and then testing him out, which will be fun. So this probably won't be very long because I doubt we're going to get anything here. I'm still missing the Elmaria Farm SSR arc, so we could potentially get that, and that would be okay, but I'm hoping we get the UR arc, but I'm not expecting anything. There's nothing in here. I really doubt there's going to be a red in here. It's probably a gold. There's a gold. Oh, there's a red, really. Well, we need to look for UR arc, please. No, of course not. Would have been great if we got it there and then we can leave, but UR arcs are just way too rare. I don't like pulling for them, I got to say that. It just feels bad. The rate up on them are just so low. I wish they were better. Zekus. A blue's not going to be good enough. There's definitely nothing in here. I'm going to watch it anyway. But this one's not going up to a yeah, staying blue for sure. There is a random chance you can get another red to appear, but we haven't seen that happen yet. I think if you skip the animation, you're more likely to get like a random red show up out of the blues or golds, but it does not increase the chance, it's just the animations are different. So this is... I'm probably going to be stopping after step 4 because free temple there, maybe I can get something, but I highly doubt it. I've been saving a lot of free crystals, so I am willing to spend some to try and get the arc, because I do think it's worth having. Zekus again, also a blue, again, there's not going to be anything in here because it's just not good enough. It's probably a gold, yeah, for sure. Can't get a red from that one. Hopefully the next temple gives a red. Even so, a red, it doesn't mean much if it's just going to be a dupe, right? I'm really looking for the arc. This is the free temple. This is like the main thing here. Like, you should get something, but it probably not. I highly doubt it. We need a Tharia to show up, first of all. Of course we don't. Yeah, this is the worst. This is the worst thing I've ever seen. There's obviously nothing in here. I would skip, but I don't want to rush it. You know, there's still 3 animations, but it really doesn't matter, because it's just wasting my time, isn't it? Yeah, exactly what I thought. Worst temple ever. Could be worse. So that did give a couple of credentials, but I could go for one of his paid equipments, but I don't think I want to do that yet, honestly. Because I'm trying to spend as little crystals as possible. I do have 11, I could do a 10 pull, and then 4 singles, but like I said, I'm not going to be going for any of those at the moment. Let's do a couple of these pulls, because I do want to try and get it, but I doubt we're going to get anything from these. I'm not going to go super hard, but I do want to do a couple, at least. I don't know how many that means. Zekis, come on, man. This is all terrible. We haven't even got anything here. I would skip this too, but it's been like... Yeah, there's nothing in here either, obviously, but... Why? Game just likes to waste my time, doesn't it? Yeah, it sure does. Give me the 3 animations when it doesn't actually matter. Sure. I'll have to do another one then. I've been managing to save a lot of free crystals recently somehow. Really? Nobody showing up again? If it's a blue, I'm just gonna skip this one. I'm not watching that. There's no chance. Yeah, there's like no reds left. We've had like 1 red today. Terrible. The Ria's better, but it's a blue, so I can't get hopeful for anything. I at least want to try and get it, but I'm not going to go super hard. You have to have the animations. Nope, there's nothing in there then. Animations is where it matters. Pretty sure if it... Oh, okay. That's weird. Do another one. Tharia. Nope. This one's bad too. Yeah, this is also bad. The only... I've had good luck with the unit, but that's it. I don't really want to go super hard. Like, I would save at this point, honestly, considering it, but I don't really know. I would still like to try and get it. I'm really hoping that he's good, you know, because then I kind of want to get one of his paid equipments, but you know, I could do 2 more temples and get a prism for the sake of it. Maybe. Kairos. Really need to get that, but just thinking about it, what does it really give? The arc trait's very nice. This temple's are trash. I'm skipping this. We've had the literal worst animations I've ever seen ever. I don't like these summons. I think I should stop now. I don't want to do anymore. I really don't want to do anymore. So I'm probably just not going to do anymore. Honestly. Because I don't pity your arcs anymore. I've only done that like a couple times. Maybe twice. But apart from that, definitely not worth doing that. Because you don't really need it that bad. It could be used, could be good, but it's not, you don't need it. I'm probably going to do a couple more to try and get one. I'm going to try and get one single red SSR, and then I'll leave it there. I'm going to get this prism just because it's the only thing I can really spend them on. And I'm probably going to try just do a few singles until we get one more red out of this, and then we'll stop there. I will still try and get the arc, but doing daily single pulls is what I'm going to be doing, I think, because that's usually good. I'm not going to be watching all of these, just the ones that look promising. Like, this one's probably not promising. Yeah, because it needs to have Tharia with a gold and everyone show up. Because if it's not, then there's no point wasting time. I just want to get one single red, and then I'll leave. That's the plan. I don't even care what the red is. Well, I do, but I at least want to try. We've had hardly any reds today, like a couple. Lilibet isn't even worth my time. It's gonna really make me do as many pulls as possible just to get one red. It really is. Because we've done so many pulls and not even got a red. Sad. And then obviously the one red that I'm gonna get is gonna be a dupe of something. Like, the game's gonna do that. It knows it's gonna do that. I do recommend to save just in case there's a collab coming up soon, so that's why I don't want to spend too much just for the art, because, like, you could potentially get it in the future. That's what I'm thinking. But getting it now would be nice, because I could use it for guild battles, and maybe arena. I'm not even getting a red. Where's just a single red? There's none. At all. That's not even anything. I'm refusing until we get a red. That's how it is. I should go to the Steam version in a second. I should do that. We're gonna be here all day, aren't we? I hope not. This is terrible. This is like the most underwhelming pause I've ever seen, honestly. Like, nothing happening, just like a bunch of no one and nothing. Yeah, well, it's bound to happen. I mean, I just want one red, so just close your eyes and maybe it'll happen. No. Just wanted one red. I don't even care if it's a dupe at this point, because that's my stopping point, is a red. No. I mean, everyone's showing up, but it's a blue, so there's only one I'm skipping. Yeah, well, there you go. Great. Another arc that I didn't notice at all. Yeah, the arc, just don't chase for them, honestly. It's just better off not trying. It's not bad, though, honestly, for a unit. I think it's okay. I'm going to be saving the rest for the moment. Let's go to the Steam version now, because I definitely want to do that. Might as well close this. And then I can open this. Great. So, I'm going to be having a look at Leodore and having a look at recommended equipment stuff. I do have his skills learnt already. Well, all of his base skills. So we can use him already. I do want to try him out. I just have no idea how he's going to perform. I'm a bit worried about his damage. So, the thing is, I've got so many free crystals, I kind of want to use them, you know? Steam luck. That's what I'm hoping on now. You know, the blue is terrible. You never watch a blue, because the blue is terrible. Look down in this corner, and then you see a no one show up. So you press skip at that point, and blue's the worst thing you see. No one. Zekis with a gold is sometimes okay. Oh my god. Okay, well, I don't regret anything at all, because... Great. Oh, that was a Zekis with a blue and a little bit, that's great. Okay. Exciting. That was a great pull. You know, you may have thought me to be crazy. You may have thought I was crazy for keeping going, but I'm not crazy. Game's crazy. Definitely excited to use this one. For sure. I think I'm probably going to be using this for some guild battle teams and potentially arena, because I do see this arc being quite useful. And it is... if you switch tabs, that is what that's how that happened. I do think this could potentially be one of the best arcs for physical damage. Well, now we're done. Don't need to do any more pulls. You can get a maximum of 15% plus 20% plus another 20%. Yeah, I guess it is a curse. I don't really, there is no other explanation apart from that. You look away for 2 seconds, and that gives me the luck. That somehow that works. 20, 35. You can get up to a maximum of 55% physical damage. That's why this is pretty crazy. You could use your special gauge. Here, I have an idea. Equip this on Summer Sarah, or any long-range damage dealer, and use the arc skill. Restore all of your special gauge, and don't use your special, because then you'll have 20% more physical damage, and then you'll have a maximum of 55% physical damage. It's going to be pretty crazy. Let's have a look at it quickly. What's level 1 is special gauge 100%, SET at 10% of max SET. You know, honestly, you don't really need to get this leveled up, now I think about it, because 100% of your special gauge is already fine. You don't really need the SET, because you could just do something else. You could do something else instead. I don't know if I'm going to be getting this at arc skill level 10 yet. I could do that, because I've got so many of these now, but we'll see. Let's level it up as much as we can. It's great. I'm going to level this up, and then we will go and start having a look at Leodore. Yeah, 98. I've been playing this game for so long, so I've been saving all of these UR Stardust for a very long time, just because the current UR arcs, I'm not super interested in getting them level 10 arc skill, so I've just been saving. I did get a Soul Blade to arc skill level 10. I do like the artwork on this. I'm not entirely sure what I'm seeing, if I'm honest. I know that's Leona, Queen Leona. That is probably Kyle. And then I'm not sure what's going on here. This is obviously Kairos. This, I don't know. There's probably some lore in here somewhere. I'll have to read that later. Let's keep going. I'm really hoping I can get to level 58 soon. I've been trying to get account XP a lot. I'm really hoping this does help kill, like, Giles in particular. because I'm really hoping that Leodore is a very good counter to Guile, but I highly doubt it. And you know what I'm just realizing? My dumb brain didn't process that this is using blue souls, and every single Yorick up to this point has used red souls. Wow. That's new, I think. That's pretty nice, because I'm always maxed on blue souls all the time. Yeah. I can't level this up anymore. Actually, I lied. I might be able to. Yeah. One more level. So level 9. Best I can do for now. That's fine. So at level 10, what does it get? Right, it gets the last effect. So at level 9 it has this. At level 10 it gets the more damage and take less damage based on your special gauge. So that's that. And then past level 10, so between level 10 and level 15, it gets more physical damage, skill damage, and damage cap based on distance. Yeah. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. I still think it'll be fine. I'm really hoping that Leodore can tank Guile and also do enough damage to Guile. That's my big hope. Crossing fingers hope. But I'm going to try and test that at some point. I will test him in Arena later today. Very soon. 20 minutes or so, maybe. But that's without any learnt skills. So that'd be interesting. So, let's go over to Leodore now. The next however long we're going to spend is going to be spent on Leodore. Yeah. Hopefully he does enough damage. What if you give him Soldier Slayer? Maybe that could be good enough. We'll have to see. I'm just curious, does it say what age he is? Probably not. 58, yeah. We usually get a lot of old men units like Bayland and Granadus. We have a Lagravos, we have like a lot of old men that are usually occasionally sometimes meta or very strong units. So I'm a little bit hopeful. So here's one thing I want to mention first. Unshakably faithful to the goddess. So this is when he was brainwashed. So with his Rubik's Cube powers, this was when he was brainwashed from the goddess Lilahar, who he probably got, you know, killed from, brainwashed from melee. I do love the Rubik's Cube though. It's like, it's cool. Okay, let's go over to equipment then. Let's do that first. I have Honey Elixir. That's the only skill that I really learned. I think I did try and teach a couple skills, but I couldn't really teach very many. So let's go over to recommended equipment. First, for weapons, here's a single wield non-attribute unit. So ideally, you want to have a non-attribute weapon. One non-attribute weapon. The reason why I'm saying non-attribute weapon is because he has Goddess Kiss. So since he already has it, you might as well try and benefit from Goddess Kiss because he already has it in his kit. So you can easily just put on like Full Charge or Honey Elixir and make him a decent SET battery unit. So I would highly recommend, let's go and filter to non-attribute weapons first. We do have a bunch of non-attribute swords available, so you do have a lot of options for this, for swords. Muramasa is probably the easiest option, and this is probably the one I'll use, because I don't remember any other good non-attribute weapons, but I definitely think that one's probably one I'll use. But let's have a look at other options just in case. We're looking for anything that gives physical damage or skill damage. I don't think we have anything for non-attribute damage. There are a couple like this that gives physical damage. This is a spear. You could do this if you want, but I would rather have Muramasa, honestly, over that. Critical rate, physical damage, you could use that if you want. Like, you have a lot of options. Critical rate, give physical attacks, anti-type effect, you know, this could be solid. Yeah, I probably don't have the one from slots. I remember doing the first slots, but not the slot 2. Yeah, a sword, non-attribute, 15%, chance to cut defense by 50% and deal damage. That's basically like equivalent of piercing. That is solid, right? But I would probably prefer Muramasa, maybe. You could go for a full crit build with this, and the arc that gives extra attacks when you hit a weakness, when you hit a critical attack, I mean, and it also gives 10% crit rate when you have a bow. Could be a build if you want. I know, I hate the slots though. It's not fun. You know what's funny? You can put on a staff if you want. You can make him a mage, Mage Leodore. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna be the first one to do that. Nah, I'm not doing that. It's a terrible idea. Never do that. Don't put a staff on him. That's the last thing I want to do. Unless you're a crazy person. But yeah, honestly, out of all the favorited weapons that are non-attribute, there aren't anything that's insanely good. But Muramasa's probably the one that I would go for over all of them. Yeah, a crit bow build would only be for PvE, but again, his DPS is not that good, I think, so even that crit extra attack build isn't going to be insane. It's probably going to perform well, but not be anything crazy. That's what I think. But I'm just going to have to wait and see. I might test that out a bit later, just to see. Yeah, Muramasa with Lumaria arc. You could do that. Actually, I'll have a look at arcs after we've looked at recommended equipment, because I might as well do that while I'm here. Because if you have a sword, there are a couple arcs that do benefit from having a sword equipped. So you could give him Human Slayer with that arc for sure. I'm considering that for a build that might work. But you may want to have a different arc for more physical damage. But yeah, this axe, you could use this because it gives 20% physical damage and more strength. HP could be solid. But yeah, like I said, there aren't really that many options. What I would recommend, if you're completely new and you don't have any of these options, I would just recommend having a look at all of your non-attribute swords and then just checking what you have available. Maybe you have this or something. Maybe you have a solid, just a decent non-attribute weapon. If you don't, you could go for just any type of sword if you want, because swords are easier to get. There's probably a weapon or something in the event, I don't know. I think there might have been cloves or something, I don't remember. But it would be funny if he had a Rubik's Cube weapon. Cube weapon would be nice. It would be funny too. I would have liked that for a weapon, but it's fine. So you could go for anything else that has an element on, but if you're going for an elemental weapon, usually they don't give non-attribute damage or physical damage. Like, that gives fire damage, so they don't want that. So yeah, you kind of are limited on non-attribute weapons, which kind of sucks, but I just say go with what you have. I would recommend a sword the most, so I'm going to be going with a sword. Now, for armors, this is the one I was talking about earlier. I would highly recommend this one, because it gives 15% skill attack damage, and that's basically the only reason why I would use this, because you want him to do more damage. He also takes less physical damage from this too, so that's a bonus. Movement speed doesn't really matter, because he's just going to be not moving anyway. He's going to be far back and not moving, just using attacks, so I think these clothes will be very good. Other options, there aren't really as many other options. You could use anything like this if you want. I just highly recommend going for something that gives physical damage or skill damage or take less damage. One of those, or all of those. This one could be okay, but it doesn't have a soldier type, so probably wouldn't use it. There aren't many other cloves. Try and go for cloves if you have a good one, because he does have cloves mastery on one of his skills, which does give him more stats, so that does help a little bit and allows him to take less damage. If I go to armors quickly, I might as well check them, but I wouldn't really recommend these as much as cloves. This one, you could use this maybe, because it gives critical damage. Take less critical damage doesn't matter because he can't take crit damage anyways. The damage cap doesn't really matter because it's single wield, so all you're really getting is the critical damage 10%, but if it's your only option, maybe, but if you have this, you probably have the cloves anyway, so probably not use that. Taking less physical damage, you could if you want him to tank more physical damage, but like I said, you don't really need that. It's not super important because he is supposed to be more of a damage dealer instead of a tank. He can probably do both, but I would recommend a damage dealer over a tank build, because a tank build just sounds stupid. Like, having a long range tank, does that even work? Like, for Leodore, I would say no, because he takes less damage if the enemy's far away, so I don't think it works well with him. Yeah, there isn't really anything else that I can see, so for the moment, I definitely recommend cloves, and the two best free-to-play options are definitely these two, so I would recommend these two if you've got those. But if you don't have either of those, then definitely work on trying to get these, because they are free-to-play, and you can get them Godforge eventually. If you play the game long enough, you can eventually get them. Farm materials, get them, definitely worth doing. If you're just starting, then go for any solid weapon that gives physical damage or skill damage, or just a non-attribute sword, something like that, and try and go for some cloves if you have something that gives some physical damage, I guess. There may be something down here that gives physical damage. I think there is. Hey, yeah, this gives skill attack damage, even though it's terrible. If you're literally just starting, something that gives some damage is still better than nothing, so that's fine. Now for accessories, gets a lot easier with accessories, because we do have a couple of accessories which give non-attribute damage. We've got Equilibrium Sphere is the main one that I'm thinking of, and if you have a sword you can put on Mithril Relief. That's probably the two that I would use maybe. So for a main damage dealer build, which he probably is going to be, focus on skill damage. This one, you don't need a sword on this because it gives 10% skill damage all the time. The movement speed requires a sword, but if you don't have a sword, you're just missing out on the movement speed, so you could just have this. Rem's headband, I don't think I even have that. I don't have the From Zero arc. That's the only arc I'm missing from that banner. So that's definitely not really something I could recommend for most people. There is another one somewhere that I'm thinking of, I think. Definitely going to be using Equilibrium Sphere for sure. Definitely recommend that one. Second accessory, Desert Rose. This one, definitely this one. Gives you 10% no attribute damage. Highly recommend that one. If you have this, definitely use this. Gives some ailment resistances too, so that's pretty solid. I'm going to use these two for now, but let's quickly check if there's anything else that's worth considering. Obviously Mithril Relief, like I said already, that could be a good option. For PvP, you could put on a Revive accessory if you really want to, and then just anything which gives physical damage or skill damage. If you have a machine, you could use this if you want, but I wouldn't really recommend a machine because we don't really have as many good machines for him. If you have someone in the team for status elements like Arch being melee, you could use this. This would be a good one to use, I think. Having Arch being melee plus him, this could be nice. Anything else though? Damage from human types, don't really need that. I think you're better off going for something that gives damage. Black Diamond is good for a revive accessory, definitely the best one for like arena or something. This one is a free-to-play accessory which you can get from the story, I think. It gives 10% skill damage to non-boss enemies, which does apply to arena, so you could use this if you don't have anything else. You could use that. Don't think there's really that much else. You don't want to use this because he's non-attribute, so he can't benefit from the attribute weakness damage because it's not an attribute. He can benefit from the anti-type damage, but that he doesn't have any slayers, so I wouldn't recommend this at all. Don't use it unless you are using a specific slayer and you know you're going into a battle that has that type of enemy. And then just anything else which gives damage is really all I can say. This one's good, gives 10% skill damage. I think that's pretty much it. Damage to divinity types if you're going up against divinity types. This one's nice too. That's pretty much it. For now, I'm going to be going for this build. This is just focusing on as much physical damage as possible. We're going to be using this, seeing how it goes. I'm hoping he does pretty well, but I don't know. His stats look okay at the moment. The strength is alright, it could have been better, but let's awaken and see what the difference is going to be there. I did do some of the event stages. That's how I got some of these souls from the event. I'm going to be keeping him at level 100 for now, and I'm going to be testing him like that with just base skills, seeing what his base damage is like, but I don't think it's going to do very much. There we go. That will do for now. 3000 strength's pretty nice. With this build, he does have nil to curse, stun, and illness, so that is a pretty nice bonus. Because, look at this. Both of these give curse, this one gives stun and illness. It's a pretty good combination of accessories, honestly. These two are very good on him. For the ailment resistances, very nice. Then you can put more SC into damage skills instead. So, what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be using him by himself with Honey Elixir, and there's nothing else on him, just base skills, Honey Elixir, and this arc. The one thing that I'm missing at the moment is 6th enhanced skills, because he's only at level 100. I need to get him to level 110 and get his 6th enhanced, which I could do, but that would take time. I'll have to do that at some point later. Yeah, let's try him out. Looking forward to it, but keep your expectations very low, because he doesn't even have his 6th enhanced skills yet, and his 6th enhanced does give him more damage. Let's have a look. I don't think he's going to do very well. I don't think he's going to even be able to kill them all, because I think he does require a lot of SC, but if he can be strong, then I'm considering getting his paid equipment and then getting him to higher C, but it really depends. Yeah, unit testing stages. I did that. I did one of those. Let's use Honey Elixir first. I'm just worried his damage is not very good. 4, 3, 2 skill stocks. Okay. So, first of all, his skill 1 is okay. Like, as you can see, it's quite slow. It's not the worst thing, but it does look cool. And then his skill 2 is going to be better. It's a bit better. It does more damage than his skill 1 for sure. You can see his damage is not that crazy right now, but that's because I'm missing, obviously, his 6 enhanced skills, and this is just base equipment. But it's not that bad yet. Skill 3. So they all died, which is good, but what I'm thinking is his skill 2 seems to do the most damage out of all of his skills. There's all those Rubik's Cubes. I do like that animation, honestly. It's funny. Yeah, Sharp Eyes. Maglion. He is definitely going to require a lot of damage skills to perform well, I think, for sure. He does have the, currently he does have this version of Sharp Eyes. I haven't tested if it stacks with normal Sharp Eyes, I don't know. Someone can test that and tell me. I would assume it would, because, you know, they're technically different skills. It should use 3% plus another 3% if you have both on, I would assume, which would be nice. I'm pretty sure it does, because doesn't Nael also have that? I think, maybe. Let's do this again. I'm not going to test him too much, but I do want to at least have a look. Ranged tank, yeah, well, he isn't a DPS to begin with. Let's use this arc skill, have a look at it. Cool. I could use a special right now too, considering doing that. Oh yeah, I didn't have MP last battle and this battle, that's why the damage is lower, because I used all my MP. Let's use skill 3 and see the grouping. You know, that's not bad. Never mind, I changed my mind. Now they're grouped better. Yeah, Goddess Kiss. That's way better. Okay, I like this a lot better. Let's use this special because I want to. Rubik's Cube powers activate. Go. I can't solve this puzzle. Jeez, don't know how to solve this puzzle. Wow. Just gonna explode this cube instead because I'm so mad. That's what it makes me think of. You know, that damage wasn't bad. Actually, you know what? The reason why his damage isn't that crazy here is because, first of all, the enemies are right up in his face, so he's not that far away, and he didn't have the MP, but now he has the MP. Since they're right up in his face, obviously he's not going to do a whole lot. The crit damage is actually pretty good. Some of those hits are doing a bit more damage, but yeah, we're really going to have to see how it performs in Arena, because I don't know. Yeah, his special animation is just very funny to me. It's like he's trying really hard to solve this Rubik's Cube, but just can't. So he just explodes it instead. It's funny. Let's do this one more time. And then we'll try a team just to see the damage difference, I guess. And then we'll go into the unit test play quest as well, to see a fully built, well, a full Sick Enhance. Still no skills though. I think he's definitely going to be very good for new players. What's his stats looking like now with that charisma? Yeah. I could put on Gorm, but like, this is a solo showcase. It's not really a big deal. When I do a full team, I'm going to be using Theopolis anyway. You know, the damage isn't terrible considering his base damage, base skills. I don't think it's that bad. I think his normal attacks are pretty good too. I don't think it pierces, does it? I think he just throws rocks. It's funny. It kind of pierces, it's a bit weird. Let's target the enemy far away and see how much damage does against him. Should do more. I do still like the animation though. 50k there, that's a bit better. Because it's a non-boss enemy, and he's far away. It's not bad. Yeah, on the way to the target. 62,000, there's some good damage numbers. 107,000 on a crit. That was hitting damage cap, I believe. How did that happen? How did he hit damage cap this time? Don't know. Yeah, it throws rocks and it explodes cubes that it can't solve. It's funny. I do think he's a very cool design for a unit. I haven't seen a unit like this been made before, unless you've probably played a bunch of games and you've seen one, but it's cool. I do think it's nice. Obviously it's not impressive for PvE content, it's not going to be that good here. Leave me alone. $41, 69, 70, okay. Yeah, his skills look pretty cool. And I think the damage, honestly, so far the damage is okay. Like, it could be better, but it could also be worse. Like, Garland level, I was worried that it was going to be similar to Garland's damage. I'm glad that it's not. It's at least better than that, but let's hope with every single damage modifier he can hit hard, but I don't know. Let's go to a full team now, this testing team, and put him in and see how much he's hitting. I usually just focus as much as possible on damage cap, so I may do that. I'm just going to use Soul Blade for the arc skill. I love this arc. It's probably my favourite arc at the moment for the arc skill. Who else? So here's an attribute. You know what I'm thinking? I just realised something. The fact that we don't have a non-attribute charisma unit yet, I think. Which kind of sucks. It would have been nice if he did have a non-attribute charisma, but even if he did, it wouldn't be that useful because we don't really have anyone that can benefit from it. Who can buff him? Well, obviously, the best one. Yeah, Balin's charisma, but also no, just no. Not really. I think he's going to pair very well with this Theria, for sure. Because you can put them on top of each other. Giggity. And then get the max bonus. I wish I didn't say that. Who else? To make it easy, just Lelouch. And that's it. That's all I need, I think. Possibly. Yeah, well, if you remember, she has this trait which gives a maximum of 10,000 damage cap and 30% damage. So I'm going to be using this, I think, I think so. Yeah, I'm going to use this. We're going to do arc skill. I don't really need this arc. I can just use Holy War. You're going to use Honey Elixir. I'm going to put your face on top of yours and see how it goes. If he doesn't hit damage cap, then I don't know. He should technically, right? There's no way he doesn't, right? Like, maybe. Come here. There we go. Now I can go for Soul Blaze. and then just use Theophilus. I'm gonna use a skill 3, and then we'll see how much it does, what it does. That's pretty good. It's not hitting damage cap, but those crits were, and it wasn't terrible. It's not bad, you know, I can't complain about it. Like, it's at least better than I was expecting. Like, I was worried that it was just going to be terrible, but it doesn't seem that way. Not bad, not great, not good. Just okay, just fine. Let me do that again with a skill 2 instead. Yeah, it's alright. And he doesn't even have 6th enhanced skills yet. Yeah, I know most units can cap with this, but still, it's fine. I'm not on a bunch of copium right now, I'm just saying I want him to be good. I'm gonna use skill 2 this time. That's cap. That's hitting damage cap now, on normal hits. I kind of expected that. Obviously he should, because his skill 2 is his hardest hitting skill. His skill 1 and 3, not the best, but skill 2, very good. I'm pleased with his skill 2 at least. I approve of his skill 2. Just a skill 3 and 1, meh. I mean, his skill 3 is okay. I'm gonna do it again with a skill 1, just a final time, and then I'll do unit test play quest, and then maybe arena, but it's gonna do nothing in arena for sure. This will obviously not be that great. Yeah, it's not. It couldn't even kill him. Well, yeah, I don't like his skill 1. It's kind of bad, not gonna lie, I don't like it. But if that's your only skill left, sure, it's probably gonna do some damage and help, but I wouldn't recommend using it. Don't prioritize a skill 1. I would definitely recommend a skill 2 the most. Especially for PvP, you definitely want to use a skill 2. In PvE, probably a skill 3. So, PvP, only skill 2 and skill 3. For PvE, probably just skill 3 spam. And that's probably the best you can do. One thing that worries me a little bit is, in guild battles, what skill is he going to use first? If you can get him to use his skill 2 in guild battles, he might do some good damage, but I don't know. Let's try the unit test play quest next, because I haven't done that yet. I've only done the first one, which was without skills, but let's do it with this. So this is still base skills only, but this has 6th enhanced skills, right? And it also has his paid equipments. Yeah, low mods on non-attribute units, obviously they would do that. But what I'm hoping is, I'm really hoping that endgame players can still manage to make him strong. Like, Shift Lagrabos skill 3 used to be strong when he released. I'm hoping that we can still make him strong, but we'll have to see. I don't know. I'm pretty sure this is from the event. That's the arcade thing. Let's just go in here. Boots, that's funny. Yeah, I don't have any expectations, it's not I was hoping it's gonna be good. Seems good so far. So this boss is a boss insect. Funny thing here is he is not benefiting from all of his current skills because he has obviously the one skill that increases damage to non-boss enemies, and this is obviously a boss enemy against non-boss enemies, so he's not getting this 20% skill damage right now. I don't know if he's missing out on anything else, but damage to physically attacking enemies, it does get more damage if they're hitting him, but obviously that's not going to happen. So let's just try here. If you're far away, you do more damage, so that's important. Skill 1, I'm not really a fan of it. I think the damage is solid. Like, I don't think it's bad. Like, this damage isn't bad for a non-attribute unit, in my opinion. Like, obviously not great, but the crits are still solid. But I can't compare it to Balin because haven't used him ages, can't remember. I'm pretty sure he had Boss Slayer or something too. He has something. Skill 2 is his hardest hitting skill, which, look at the damage on that one. That's pretty good. It was, until it wasn't. Yeah, his S1 is garbage, I gotta say that. It's not very good. But only base skills. I have to keep saying that. I don't like his skill 1, the damage modifiers on it are terrible. Skill 3 is a bit better than his skill 1, but again, it's not that great. Skill 2 definitely his best one, as you can see. No Slayers, no Maglion, and no extra sharp eyes. No weapon boost skills. No sky high skills, nothing like that. I don't think he even has aim vitals or advanced aim vitals, so you can potentially boost his damage by a lot more. And that's what I'm hoping is once he's fully built, I'm hoping that is enough. But at the moment with base skills, obviously it's not anything crazy. But he's still doing damage. Let's use the special then. Try and solve this Rubik's Cube. Nope, can't do it. Throws it across the room. I never see myself using his special that much. If I'm right on the enemy's face, obviously I'm going to be doing less damage. $89,000. 50, 60, yeah, obviously you want to be far away. It's 27,000, it's terrible. Well, I do think he's good, but I can't give a final, can't give my final thoughts on him yet. Well, Shiv Mikasa's not that bad. I still think I used her on my arena defense for a while, it was actually pretty good. But she did rely heavily on crits and backstabs. Her normal hits were kinda not that great. So what I want to do now, quickly check him in arena, but keep your expectations the lowest they can be, because he's not going to do anything whatsoever. I just want to do this for fun, for the sake of trying, right? So what my plan is for now is I'll just use him with base skills to see what he does. Obviously he's not going to do anything, but I at least want to have a rough idea of if he's doing something. Yeah, never know what's hidden in the cube. I know what's in the cube, another cube. It's always just endless cubes in cubes. Funny. I must be going with this, probably the same setup as I was using in PvE, I think. Just full damage, and I will use a revive accessory just to help in case, because he's probably going to die many times, but we'll see. So I'm just going to be using this. Base skills, nothing taught on him. Obviously he's not going to do that much damage, probably nothing, probably can't kill anyone, but I'm just going to spar myself, and you know, this is a terrible defense to spar, I really should not. That's better. I know I'm going to die, but I want to see if I can do damage to one of these three, if possible. I probably can't, now I think about it. I don't think he's going to be able to kill anyone. I will also try attacking Guile, just to see if at his current state he can tank a few hits from Guile. If he can, could be okay, maybe, possibly, potentially, maybe, I don't know. Let's use skill 2. Obviously it's not going to kill anyone, because, you know. Well, that's the worst numbers I've ever seen in my life. Okay. Now, wait, now he has MP back. He's not flinching from magic. Yeah, I know my confidence is very low because... well... He can't even kill a Claude, but I'll have to admit, Claude can be pretty tanky, so... Can't really say anything about that. But Arena... 190... I don't know what to say. 400 is respectable. I mean, I told you to keep your expectations low as much as possible. So I hope they are still low, because, yeah. Yeah, he's missing Siegfried and Maglion, all of those skills. I just wanted to do this just for the sake of trying. Now I've got no skills. Now I just want to hit Guile and just see what happens. Obviously I expect to get one shot, but I just want to test that. I don't want to stop. This is sad. I like him as a unit. I can't say I can't say if he's good or bad in PvP yet because he's not built. So I'm just doing this for the sake of trying. I'm not going to say he's bad. He's not bad. He's not bad. There's no way that he's bad. So the question is, can he survive at least one hit from a Guile? Answer to that question is probably a no. Probably a no. No, obviously not. That was so bad. I can't tell if it... Why do I keep dying? Yeah... Well... Honestly, he's not really doing much apart from dying, and I don't like that. But I'm just gonna leave it there. I'm not gonna do that anymore because it's just dumb. He's not even built, so I can't really say anything. But yeah. I'll talk about it once I go over to the conclusion in a moment, because I do have some thoughts about him. So, I don't think there's anything else I want to do for today. It's already been about 2 hours, and now is around about the time that I would end the stream. So, after talking through everything, I do want to give my conclusion in a moment. I'm just trying to think of if there's anything else I want to talk about, which I don't think there is. So, my conclusion for this update, for this unit, mostly about this unit, I think he does seem pretty good. Like, he's a fun unit, he has good animations where they look cool, and he just looks like a cool unit. But so far with testing, I think in PvE he seems okay in PvE. I definitely feel like if a new player gets him, he's going to be able to carry you through the whole story probably, because non-attribute, you know, you can just use him anywhere. For Arena though, I think a new player using him in Arena probably won't be able to use him very well, but if you're more of an endgame player and have a lot more arcs available, I'm hoping that you can make him strong enough if you have more available. At this current point, I wouldn't recommend to pull for him yet. If you're completely new, you can get him if you like him, it's up to you. But he still requires more testing, so I can't give a, you know, can't say that he's amazing or anything yet, but I still think he's going to be a good unit. I am going to be spending the next week or so building him and testing him in Arena, and then I might make another video talking about him once I've done more testing. Yes, we've got a lot more time left of this banner. There might be a collab coming up, so I highly recommend to save for now. I only did summons because I like Leodore and I wanted the arc. It was worth it for me because I ended up getting them, but if you're just a free-to-play player or someone that cares about saving your crystals, then just wait for the moment, I think, because I still think his kit has good potential. He could be very good. It's just, he needs more damage, so I really need to test him at his full potential in a full build. And if I test him with a full build and he ends up not doing enough damage, and he ends up dying from Guiles, I think he won't be a very good unit for PvP, and he probably won't be used in, like, Arena, for instance. But Guild Battles is different from Arena, so he might work better in Guild Battles compared to Arena. We're gonna have to wait and see for testing on that. Yeah, collab announcement, maybe soon. It might be the next unit, who knows, in like 2 weeks. That's my guess. Unless there's another unit in 2 weeks, I don't know. But yeah, he seems pretty good. Just at base skills though, he's not very good at base skills, I have to say that. But I am missing out on Sixth Enhance, he's only level 100, so maybe at Sixth Enhance he could be pretty decent. But I might try and make a video on him later. Yeah, it's good that they've kind of toned it down in terms of PvP meta units. We had 2P and Guile who were insane, but after that we didn't really get anything super game breaking. Like, I know we got Gilbert, but we had an answer to Gilbert, and that is Archbeing Melee can easily take care of Gilbert most of the time. Mine's 130 SC, Archbeing Melee, so that's probably why mine can take care of him easily, but I do like the direction of where the meta is changing, because them focusing heavily on counter units just hurt the game more than it benefited the game, you know. Even though it was fun, right now it's not as much fun anymore because counter is just annoying, and I understand that. If you're a new player going into the game and you see all these counter units and you're like, why am I dying? Yeah, it sucks, but they have been kind of moving away from it. So, back on topic, this UR arc, I do want to talk about it a little bit more. I do think that this arc will definitely be used in PvP for sure, and in PvE you can even use it there as well, because the arc trait is very solid. I do think this arc trait is going to be used quite a lot, and this arc skill, even at level 1, you don't even need to get this to level 10 because it has 100 special gauge. It fills the special gauge by 100% at level 1, so you don't really need to level it up. So if you're a new player, getting this arc is going to be amazing because filling your special gauge 100% just at level 1 is really good for a new player if you think about it, because a new player won't have access to a level 10 Great War of Ruin, so their alternative would be this arc, and all you need to do is have this arc. You don't even need to level up the arc skill. So I do think newer players, if you manage to get this arc, I do think it would be very nice. Pretty much anyone that gets this arc is going to be good, so it's going to be good for anyone. That's why I think this arc is going to be pretty nice. But compared to the Soul Blade arc, I still think Soul Blade is probably better because it's just very good of an arc. It has a lot of stuff going for it. Now, if I quickly talk about both of these banners, we've still got Leodore and Beast Divinity Ray's banner. So I would recommend Leodore's banner over Ray's banner because this has an SSR arc. Ray has been tested. He is okay in Arena, but he's not anything crazy in Arena. You can use him in Arena if you want to, but he doesn't perform very well against the meta units such as 2P Guile and the tank units. He can't kill them very well, so he's not the best unit for that. But in PvE he can still do decently. He has a strong anima. I think he plays best in guild battles, honestly. So I still think Ray's a fun unit. I do think Leodore's might be better, but honestly, I know you're probably mad that I've been saying, oh, this unit's better than the last unit. Well, it's because I honestly think that, because I know Kyle was pretty strong, but he was just a damage dealer at the end of the day. Ray brings more to the table than Kyle did, and now Leodore is a non-attribute unit which we haven't had in so long, so I do think Leodore is probably going to be the most valuable unit, or probably the most valuable banner at the moment, but I do highly recommend to wait for a collab and wait for further testing, because it's still the first day, and I'm definitely going to be doing more testing on Leodore. So I'm going to be going ham on building Leodore as soon as possible, and if he turns out to be strong, then I might make a video on him, and then talking about him a bit more, but we'll see what it comes down to. Just for the moment, I recommend a save. And that's basically everything. There aren't any more banners. We've still got this ticket gacha. If you've got any tickets, make sure to use those, and yeah. Don't think there's anything else that I need to talk about. I do think Leodore's going to be a fun unit to use, and if you are a new player, getting Leodore or the UR arc from that banner is a big win for you, because Leodore can carry you through the story and probably a lot of content, and the UR arc has 100% special gauge fill, so that is great by itself. Don't think there's really anything else I want to talk about for today. I do think this update was very nice because it was adding more anniversary promotions in this update, so that was pretty good. Pretty much everything I wanted to say. The promotions for the anniversary are continuing. There is going to be a part 4 and part 5, but I am not sure if there's going to be another part 4 unit or something. It might be a collab coming up soon, so I do recommend to save that. Yeah, I think that's everything I want to say for the moment. I'm going to be adding the timestamps very soon. It's been about 2 hours. I will have a break, and then I'll come back to this and add the timestamps, and then start focusing on building Leodore. So maybe I'll do another video soon, we'll see. I do have a lot more free time at the moment, so I might try and focus a bit more on videos. We'll have to see how that goes. Like always, if you like these streams or videos, whenever you watch these, thanks for watching them anyways. If you enjoy them, then just let me know by liking the video. That's the only time I ask for it. I don't ask for it because I'm not one of those people that... I should probably stop talking at this point. I'm never used to talking for this long. Anyways, I'm gonna leave that there for today. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you in probably 2 weeks, I believe, because that should be the next unit. So yeah, I'll see you then. Have a nice anniversary. promotions are still going on. Make sure to do the stage for 3,000 free crystals and save those. That's what I'd recommend. So yeah, see you in the next one. Bye. Still need to do more testing.